Hello. Oh, we got the camera wrong. Uh-oh. There we are. Oh, it doesn't say start yet. Oh, it says there we are. All right.
Oh, do we have a good candle for the lotus?
Yes, brand new fresh in there. Done.
You're on it today.
Trying to be.
You are on it today.
So, folks, hi.
Hi, is anybody there? Hello.
And this evening, we are pathworking on the 14th Tarot Key Temperance, which equates with the, at least in most all the books I've studied, the 25th path of the Hebrew letter Samek, which connects. Oh, and I have found something. I don't need to pull that thing off the wall.
Oh, hallelujah.
If we can get that in there. Of course, it switched left to right there through the Facebook video system. So that's, but actually, we're on the middle pillar here between the purple one, Yesod, the sacral chakra, and Tifereth, the heart chakra, the blue path right in there, in the middle pillar. So we were just looking at a different book that had that Samek, the letter Samek switched up with the tower, but still Sagittarius. So I think we can generally agree that the tower should be Mars, and which I believe is then in, well, who knows about the weeks here, but in a couple different paths. That'll be the 27th path, the tower. And the next one after this is the path of Ain, the devil, 1415. But this time, here we are. Oh, I got to look see what's going on with my people watching. So I hope you guys are, well, you can always do it later. Prepared to actually try the meditation. So the path of Samek, Temperance, the 14th key, path color blue, sound. Such a
G sharp.
G sharp. Whoa, there you go. That'll fix your posture. That'll perk you up. Associated with the astrologically with Sagittarius. I'm gonna have to remove the glasses again for this. Here's a tricky one, which we will discuss a bit. It's a simple letter meaning anger, for anger. The actual meaning of the word Samek, when used as a word, is a prop, and prop, as in prop and or tent peg. And we'll get into that. It is its esoteric title. Oh, these are cool. The daughter of the reconcilers, the bringer forth of life. Ooh, it's a big deal.
Can I interject there?
Please.
I had a little flash last time we were doing this.
Yes.
That the bringer forth of life is the reference to going from Yesod up into Tifereth.
Into the higher vibration.
Yeah.
Into that higher life.
Yeah.
Call it.
Yeah.
To the higher life. That high life again. Stevie Winwood. The 32 Paths of Wisdom, the book of the Sefer Yetzirah, Hebrew Mysticism, says of the 25th path. The 25th path is the intelligence of probation, or is tentative, and is so called because it is the primary temptation by which the Creator trieth all righteous persons. Whoa. Mm-hmm. So, we want to chat about that a bit. Mm-hmm. Let me just start with this idea that, actually I'm going to kind of quote from our book a little bit. because the book I'm referencing is the Kabbalistic Tarot by Robert Wang, who was actually Israeli Regarde's secretary. And so the path leads from the sacral chakra, the purple one, Yesod, which is the astral plane and where we go when we dream at night, imagination, that sort of thing, emotions associated with the moon, to Tiferet, the heart chakra, which is associated with the higher self, with each person's individual, quote unquote, Christ consciousness, unconditional love, sort of divine love. And so it's seen as one of the most important and difficult paths on the tree, because it's about what in the Golden Dawn Society was calling the great work, the refinement of consciousness so as to be able to be in that higher heart, to be able to come from the heart, to be able to, and in the Golden Dawn, they had this thing about, they called it, there's a paper called the Achieving the Knowledge and Conversation with the HGA, which means the Holy Guardian Angel. And in the Golden Dawn, this term, the Holy Guardian Angel, was used equals as also another term for what in sort of modern esoteric and mystical and New Agey kind of terminology would be termed the higher self. And the higher self is seen then as this spiritual identity, a spiritual intelligence, a spiritual kind of personality that is that it's that part of yourself, the spiritual part of yourself that chose to be born in this incarnation. It's that spiritual part of yourself that is choosing what incarnations to be materialized in and to experience. So in what's the GD likes to call the great work, because that's what they were doing, so I guess they like to think it's great. But it's really any kind of spiritual work. A friend of mine called it PRD, personal research and development, however you want to call it, the idea of developing one's spiritual awareness. And in the GD, Golden Dawn, it was about trying to achieve this connection with the higher self. And certainly, that I guess you could call it, I mean, if you're able to like be in access and participate in your higher self all the time, I guess that's what other cultures might call enlightenment. But what I think you'll find in pursuing this work is enlightenment is sort of imminent. It's not that tricky, but it can be accessed, and it is accessed in our lives from time to time. The challenge is to be there most of the time instead of just rarely. No, look at them instead of you. Okay. So this path is very much about going from that emotional center, that kind of humanness, kind of illusionary Maya in the Hindu, the world of illusion, into the clarity of that heart chakra perspective. And it's been called the dark night of the soul because it's difficult. It's expected to be why it's tentative is that sometimes it's called the intelligence of probation because there is sort of a testing or a trial kind of aspect to it. That let's move on. So, and the other symbols we have the symbol for Sagittarius, and so Sagittarius, which is associated with both the centaur, but also Diana and the huntress kind of goddess idea. In astrology, that symbol of the centaur is seen as this animal nature and the higher nature, and in a blended form. One thing I did prepare the other day was trying to draw it backwards. So I'll finally get to show you the Hebrew letter properly because I wrote it down with a mirror image. Yay! So on the left of the screen is the Hebrew letter Samek, and the other right of the screen is the astrology symbol for Sagittarius, and which calls to mind that I didn't talk about that prop idea very much, and I think it's important to have a comprehension of that when we enter into the meditation. Because the idea here is tent peg prop is that, of course, in ancient times and in the desert and through, certainly in Bedouin peoples and other peoples, if you weren't in the big city, chances are you were using tents, and the idea here is that the strength of the tent, the shelter from the storm, as it were, comes from the tension on the cords holding it up, the tension on that tent peg, on those props that the ropes are tied to. That the idea of this idea of balance, achieving this kind of balance between, you have to have this tension on these relatively fragile kind of pieces like the tent posts and the cloth, but the right structure and the right amount of tension on those lighter objects creates strength, and you have to have a lot of tension on your tent pegs and your props of the tent in order for that tent to stand strong in the face of the sandstorm or just to give it strength. So here we have this idea of developing strength. It's associated, Crowley calls this card art. What was that other one? We've seen another deck name it the guide.
Right. Why don't you get the cards?
Why don't we look at the cards?
Can I just mention some parts in this that I find interesting?
Please do.
Okay. Well, since you were talking about Crowley's card, it shows that this process because what we're doing is going from Yesod, which is the moon, to Tiferet, which is the sun, right?
Yes.
So we're going from water into fire and fire into water. And so it's an alchemical process.
Yes.
And Crowley's card shows that
very well.
Quite well. And that's the image that you see of the angel pouring the aethers back and forth. It's the water is the consciousness, and the fire is like the Kundalini energy. And when these two are combined, they create air. But the willful interchange of fire and water is the merging or tempering of energy opposites within the body. Here symbolized by a stream pouring back and forth from one vase to another. This is the living water, consciousness vivified by being merged with the fiery spirit. The process is one of bringing the spirit into the body so that it tempers the consciousness and is itself tempered by the consciousness, thus forming something new, something which is more than the sum of all its parts. This is the perfect personal application of the and hay, water, uniting it in the individual to produce Vau, air within the body. So,
Okay, thank you.
I just find that interesting.
You bring something up that reminds me of something as well, that on the Tree of Life, we have this path between the purple and the yellow, Yesod, sacral to heart, Yesod to Tiferet. And then on the other side, you have Venus and Mercury, which are seen as passion and reason. Mm-hmm. So it also works kind of that way, mm-hmm. that if their angel is in the middle pillar, mm-hmm. it's like in one hand, he's got the reason of Mercury, and the other hand, he's got the passion of Venus on the mm-hmm. other side. Mm-hmm. And that's the balance. That's the balance. It's not only a blending this way,
right?
Like a percolation, right. perhaps, yeah. or a distillation, perhaps. Mm-hmm. But it's also the blending this way of the passion and reason. Of Hesed.
And Netzach.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Not Hesed.
Not Hesed.
Mercury.
Mercury.
Thank you.
I got it wrong.
That's fine. Let me just look at the Crowley deck here. That is labeled Art. And here's this idea. He's got a cauldron, which is about this blending, the transformation. Very alchemical. These symbols are classic alchemical symbols. The white lion and the red eagle. And the idea of course, the idea in alchemy. We were looking the other day in is it us? Is that it? Yeah, we have the Handel deck here, which is certainly kind of odd and interesting and beautiful, showing this that kind of, it's kind of hard to discern in the watercolors here, but it's got the moon and the sun, and it's kind of two sides to it, kind of divided up this way, a diagonal, creating, kind of talking about that balance. But it's called alchemy. And of course, for the alchemists, Carly calls it art because it's about the creative process as well. Mm-hmm. And here's another name. I have this Tarot of the Old Path, and it calls it the Guide. Kind of a lot going on in this card. We have the traditional angel, but we also have humans as a man and a woman. He seems to be kind of somehow rescuing her, or a baptism of sorts, hard to discern. They have sort of a figure of the horned god and the goddess in the background, sort of in the pagan, more it's the Lord and the Lady. And kind of this light, the beyond, that's a recurring theme. The classic deck, where's my Rider Waite? There it is. Of course, the Temperance card is, it's important that there's a path, and the path to the light. I've seen that light depicted as a volcano, which is kind of maybe not where you want to be going, but
well, listen, part of this this path it's like a path of darkness, but that there's a light ahead. So you're sort of coming from the shadow, the moon, the darker, and moving along to the light.
To the light.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And that's the enlightenment, and that, to me, that's what's depicted in that that glow above
Yeah,
the
I
head
don't
or
want to go
behind
through
them.
them all now. I did want to mention it's just have to admit we're just not that big on incense, and besides, incense doesn't really translate well over the internet.
No.
It's not scratch and sniff. So what it is, the scent for the incense for this path, however, and this area of consciousness is the Ling aloes. The experience is one of the preparation of the personality and the body in which it is operating to deal with an influx of light, which would be tough for a system unready to handle it, light and energy. There is a continuing monitoring of progress, a continual testing from above. The angel is at once the higher self and the initiatory forces of nature, being poured from vase to vase, to be an ongoing process of testing, measuring. Same with, that idea with the prop. Same thing with the symbol of the arrow in the Sagittarius. Sagittarius, the idea is that centaur or Diana, the goddess with the bow and arrow, is that there's a target, that there's a goal. And to reach that goal with the arrow, it's the greater the tension on the bow string, the more power to the arrow. So here again, this idea of a tensing, of achieving a balance. There was we were talking to someone else who had a deck that called it balance. And we found, here's the good tarot, which it's not, the image is sweet, but it doesn't really tell a lot. But it's interesting that they've called number 14, temperance, patience. Primarily patience with yourself, I think, because that's what this is about. That kind of, in alchemy, there's this myth that, sure, there's alchemists that were finally able to turn base metals like lead into gold. That's the myth. But the idea is that the alchemical process was such an involving spiritual process that by the time the alchemist, that it became a process of sort of self-refinement, as well as a process of the refinement of the base metal to gold. So the idea was, well, by the time they figured out how to do it or had the power to do it, they realized that that was not a very kind of, not that important a goal anymore. So I'm just going to put the cards back.
And I think it's I find that this path, traveling this path, anytime that you're sort of reaching or striving for a higher good or a higher alignment of yourself or whatever it is always best to be patient with yourself and to be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself.
So that's something to remember as for this path as well.
Okay. Do you care? I have a couple sheets handy if you want to participate.
Sure. Shall I get my new fancy wand?
Ooh, yeah. Sure.
Can I? Because we haven't drawn circle yet. So excuse me while I get my new fancy wand.
And Dallas is going to do fire and earth. And I'll start this candles. And
New fancy wand. There we go.
That's slow-mo.
That's slow motion, folks.
We
tricky.
still have the cat here, don't we? Yes.
Oh, he seems to be good.
He's being good. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yep, that's right. We will. The other one's sleeping out there. So
Okay, so away we go. Let me
start.
just angle the camera here so that you can at least see somewhat what I'm doing there. Making everybody dizzy wiggling the camera around there. All right, that'll have to do.
Fire and earth, eh? Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to close that door just a little bit so we can get the channel moving through the... There we go. Casey will probably open it anyways, but that's fine.
You can't come in now. This is
Get the
going right through
energy.
Norman.
Oh, he'll just push it open.
Okay, ready?
Sure.
Ready?
Yeah.
Ate, Malkuth, Vegabora, Vegadula, Leola Am. Amen. Hekis, Estebeloi. Yeheshua. 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 Yeshua. Yeheshua. 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 Yeshua. Yeheshua, Yehosha, Yod, Hey, Shin, Vov, Hey. Spheres around us. Ayana Yod, Nun, Resh, Yod, sign of Osiris slain. El, the sign of the morning of Isis. V, the sign of Typhoon Apophis. X, the sign of Osiris risen. L, V, X, Lux, light, light of the cross. Virgo, Isis, mighty mother. Scorpio, Apophis, destroyer. Sol, Osiris, slain yet risen. Isis, Apophis, Osiris. The divine light descend. The divine light descend. And I haven't lit the candles yet, so we'll do that right now. That's the lights descending onto our altar candles. Okay, and so next that's their circle, and now comes the invocation of the quarters, starting in the east. Exarpe. Oro ibai ozadpi Jehovah. Hail Raphael, Archangel of the East.
Beatum Elohim. Hail Michael, Archangel of the South and Fire.
West. Ko Emma Agla. Emperor Rayol Al. Hail Gabriel, Archangel of Water in the West.
Nanta Agala. Immordial Hectega. Adonai. Hail Uriel, Archangel of the North and Earth.
Before me, Raphael, behind me, Gabriel, to the right hand, Michael, and to the left hand, Uriel. About us flames the pentagram, and in the column shines the six-rayed star, Ate Malkuth Vegabora Vegadula Leolaam. Amen. As above, so below. This evening, we are traversing the 25th path, the 14th Tarot Key, Temperance. At my fingertips, almost. The color blue, the sound G sharp, sign Sagittarius, meaning prop, simple letter for anger. Titles: The Daughter of the Reconcilers, the Bringer Forth of Life. The 25th path is the intelligence of probation, or is tentative, and is so called because it's the primary temptation by which the Creator trieth all righteous persons. Okay, so I will talk us through a middle pillar exercise, and then we'll dot some lights right away. I will talk us through the middle pillar exercise, and then we'll just carry on taping through the meditation.
See you on the other side.
See you on the other side. Whoa, let's start with a deep breath. So you want to relax the body, you want to sit up straight and tall, or lie down flat. Don't necessarily cross the arms and legs unless you're doing a lotus position. Want to breathe deep, want to establish the 4 square breath. While you're meditating, you always call yourself back to your even breath. It means breathing in deeply to your own count of 4, pausing for a count of 4, breathing out slowly, calmly for the count of 4, pausing for the count of 4. So work on that in an easy way, not too strict. Don't hold your breath, just let it be relaxed. This is a way to breathe very deeply and not hyperventilate. with those pauses. Sometimes it helps to relax the jaw, to relax the whole body, breathing deeply. You don't have to worry about whether it's this nostril, that nostril, or even the nostrils in this allergy age of allergies. Breathing deeply, pause, deeply, exhale. Start by imagining an orb of light atop the head. An orb of white pure light. This is source energy. Before any polarities of yin and yang, before any identifications with deities, just pure source light energy atop the head, a ball of light atop the head. Its Hebrew God name is Aheye. Aheye. Light on the head. Bring the light energy down to form a lavender orb of light in the throat area. Its name is Yehovah Elohim. Yehovah Elohim.
Yehovah Elohim.
Yehovah Elohim.
Yehovah Elohim.
Imagine the light energy descending to form a bright yellow orb of light behind the solar plexus in the chest, lower chest. It's the light of love. Yehovah Elovedath.
Yehovah Elohim.
yellow orb of light behind the solar plexus. Imagine the light energy descending further into the body to form a purple orb of light in the groin area, the sacral chakra. Its god name is Shaddai El Kai. Shaddai El Chai.
Shaddai El Chai.
Bring the light energy down to the feet, where it forms a russet orb of light at the feet, encompassing the feet and grounding into the earth. Adonai Haaretz. Adonai Haaretz.
Adonai Haaretz.
Bring the attention back to the orb of white light atop the head. On an exhale, bring light energy down. Imagine light energy coming down through the left side of the body to the feet. On the inhale, bring the light energy up from the feet along the right leg, the right side of the body to the top of the head. Exhale, light energy down through the left, and inhale, light energy up through the right. On an exhale, Bring the light energy down over the face, over the front of the body to the feet. And on the inhale, imagine the light energy coming up from the feet, along both calves, along the back side of the body to the top of the head. Exhale light energy down over the front. Inhale light energy up along the back. And on an inhale, collect the light energy in the light or at the feet. On the exhale, release the light energy up through the body, up through the top of the head. Imagine that light energy fountaining down around and through the body and around you and through you, to be collected on the inhale at the feet and released on the exhale through the top of the head. Now think of the Temperance card, daughter of the Reconcilers, bringer forth of life, Samek, alchemy, art, temperance. Imagine, if you will, the light beyond, illuminating the path. Okay, we're going to call that this session, and we will return shortly with talking about our experiences.